Hey everyone, exciting announcement! We will be giving away Marvin Monkey stuffed animals to dedicated listeners of the podcast throughout the month of November. This is how it will work. At the end of each podcast released in November, there will be a question about the content of an episode of the podcast. Send your answer to mailcarrier@grapeseed.com. You will have 1 week to answer each question. For example, for the question released on the November 6th episode, you have until November 13th to email your answer in. Winners will be randomly chosen from correct answers. There will be one question released each week with one winner randomly chosen per question, except for the November 27th episode where 2 winners will be chosen, bringing the total number of free Marvin Monkeys to 5. And be ready for the first question on the November 6th episode. Happy listening! Hello and welcome to the GrapeSEED Official Podcast. In this episode of the All These Things series, we'll focus on readers. This episode will focus on readers from Units 11 to 20. We will talk about Units 21 and up in a future All These Things podcast. In the first 10 units of GrapeSEED, we build a strong oral foundation for our students, while also equipping them with phonics knowledge and some basic reading practice. Units 8 to 10 bring in Let's Start Reading sentence cards, helping us bridge the gap from the skills they have been learning to the actual readers we will be talking about in this episode. If you have been teaching GrapeSEED for a long time, you would have noticed the change from general readers in Units 11 to 20 to now basic readers in Units 11 to 15 and intermediate readers in Units 16 to 20. This differentiation provides our students another step to help acclimate them into reading more and more complex material. These readers, combined with the multiletter phonograms students started learning in Unit 9 and continuing until Unit 14, will further build on their reading skills so that they are ready for even more complex readings in the form of chapter books in Units 21 and above. One concept to highlight is that of GrapeSEED read-write words, words that are frequently used in the English language. Just like the language and expressions we teach to our students orally beginning in Unit 1 through our controlled vocabulary and our functional notional approach, we want to arm students with the skills and confidence necessary to be accurate, confident readers. Starting their independent reading journeys by targeting language they know already from earlier units orally in targeted reading practice will quickly show them that they can read and thus will be more motivated to do so going forward. Another concept to talk about is tracking. Remember that pointer we used from Unit 1 with our poems and big books? We show our students that when we read, we track text by pointing to it. Early on with basic readers, we want to encourage our students to continue doing this to help them focus. Most of us started reading in a similar manner, pointing to the words as we read. However, over time, we transitioned from tracking with our fingers to simply tracking text with our eyes. Our students will also grow in confidence and accuracy to the point where they no longer need to track text with their fingers, and we can help them transition away from it. Typically, you want to shoot for around Unit 15 for this transition to occur, but your particular class may transition earlier or later than this. So let's look at the teaching method of both of these tools separately. Naturally, we will start with the basic readers in Units 11 to 15. As mentioned before, these are a step up from the Let's Start Reading cards in that they will be reading longer stories as opposed to a sentence or two on a single card. The stories are simple, but all incorporate a lot of practice in the first 100 of the GrapeSEED read-write words. In the stories in the basic readers for Units 11 to 14, students will practice these initial 100 words over the 5 stories they read per reader. Unit 15's basic reader has 10 stories that review all 100 words. As always, you will want to closely follow the directions in your lesson plan on a given day, but in general, you will want to have the GrapeSEED read-write words associated with the story in your reader written on the whiteboard before class begins. When you get to reader time while you are teaching, you will first want to decode and read the words together with your students. This will give them initial practice and help build word recognition skills before they attempt to read those same words within a story, among other words. Your lesson plan and your teacher manual will tell you which GrapeSEED read-write words go with which story. After this, you will read the story page by page with the class in the student-teacher pattern. This means that these materials are student attack. They attempt to read first and you echo them with proper pronunciation and fluency. If they struggle with a particular word, you can have them stop and decode it, and then try to read the sentence again. Once you finish, you will typically ask 1 or 2 comprehension questions to check for understanding. We want our students to be thinking about what they are reading, because if they understand it, they will be more successful and motivated readers. As your students grow in confidence and accuracy, you can transition from the whole class reading together with you echoing to smaller groups taking turns throughout the story with you echoing. You can even get to a point where you allow students to read individually or in pairs, but in general, stick to the directions given in your lesson plan. As we stated in an earlier podcast, the lesson plans already take into account the progression of learning.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.